Welcome everyone to episode 7 of the Monkey Business Show. Today we have a very special guest and a friend of mine. Peter, what's up, buddy?
Hey man, it's been too long. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Dude, I saw you wearing the gamers haircut and in the gamers room. Where are you staying, dude? Where are you living? Ohio?
I'm in Ohio now. I'm with eSports Engine. They have offices in Ohio, LA, and London. I picked Ohio. It's close to my hometown. So
Okay. Awesome.
that's my
Well,
spot at
today
the
we
moment.
also...
You guys are all over the place, huh?
Yeah, obviously you see Johan. You were mentioning before we started recording that he looks the healthiest out of all of them with his tan.
The healthiest just because you got a tan, does that mean health? Isn't it the other way
That's it.
around?
In gamers, that's the pinnacle of
The
our...
UV light. How is that a sign of health though? In Denmark, it's like the paleness is actually a sign of good health because you're not, scorching yourself with the UV. I don't know, but it does look. I don't know. For myself, of course, I think I look healthier when it's summer season or when it's at least hot. I was gonna ask, what's the weather like in Ohio? Because I have no clue what the seasons are
My
like.
backyard is like an ice skating rink. It was just a solid sheet of ice across the whole thing.
Seriously?
So it's
Dude,
yeah, it's
get
bad.
out.
In February.
Get out.
Now it's just raining, and we have giant like mud puddles in my backyard, and I have 2 dogs, so it's a little chaotic right now.
Oh, I know the mud puddles from back home. Oh wow, not fun.
Yeah.
Well, today we also have a very quiet Ceb. What's up, Ceb? Still in prison, from what I see.
No, I just don't. Yeah, still in prison. I don't know. Like, if you know any prison that has walls like this, you should be pretty happy. Like, I think prisons are a little
Believe
bit
it or not,
sadder than
I haven't been to many prisons, but in my mind, they all have walls like that.
They
Why do
don't.
you guys hate on the brick feature wall? That's a luxury.
Thank you.
These friends,
Thank you
you
very
always have to
much.
be the
Like,
hipster of all
finally,
of us.
somebody with a little bit of taste. I've been stuck with these two before, like for way too long, actually.
This is
I had a
happening.
French
Ceb
design.
and
Yeah.
Peter are bonding together, finally.
It's been a long time, man. I feel like now that I'm like completely out of the Dota scene, like we can just kind of squash all this beef, and we can look about like what could be better in the future, right? And that's why I was so excited to talk to you guys, because I feel like, I mean, Dota on socials is just like nothing. So if you're not like in the scene, you don't really understand what's going on. And I watch the games, but I don't follow super closely anymore. But it seems like you guys still really care about the future of Dota compared to like all the other pros who like say nothing.
Yeah, I would say that for us, obviously the future of OG is very closely tied to the future of Dota and what's happening. And, we try to craft or to help direct as much as we can. And yeah, I mean, obviously I would like to start with a little bit of a preamble of how I met you, because you actually gave me my first eSport job ever. I was making films and I messaged you on Twitter saying, Peter, I love what you guys are doing. I love how you do content and all that. Is there a way to work together? And you answer a random stranger like me. And then we did a day with Peter in San Diego. That was my first job ever in esports.
Yeah, we definitely have an interesting history, and that was a very interesting time for me as well. And I wish I honestly wish that it could have gone. I mean, it went okay, but I think it could have gone better if we were in a better place. But as you guys know, like with your experience probably starting OG, we were kind of in a tricky spot where we really needed to hire a bunch of people, but we didn't have a bunch of money. So it was really sort of trying to make it all work was complicated. But once I left EG and kind of went and did my own thing, and you ended up with OG, so that's a crazy story. I'm sure all that happened.
So I think to going back to what Peter was saying about the Twitter and the content and all that, we actually always been on board of the beefs and the smoke and all that. I think it really adds a lot of the storylines and the whole fun of why we're doing this. I don't know why people really want to misjudge this professionalism with like, oh yeah, thank you, the match was really good, and that's not fun for anybody. The storylines I think that you created and how you were able to beef with everybody was, to me, one of the reasons why I was so attracted and ecstatic to work with you because you found a way to bring eyeballs. You knew how to.
Ceb, N0Tail, your thoughts?
Isn't that a common practice? No, I was gonna say, like, isn't it common practice in most sports and most competitions to nurture the individual rivalries? I'm not 100%. I mean, I've seen the NBA panels where they talk a lot of smack and a lot of shit, and you build up a lot of that spice before the fight already. But I even think in esports, I'm not 100% on this, but Riot, they also have a storyline where they try to tell the rivalry between two teams. It might not be as spicy as some others. But in Dota, I feel like the only thing being told, which still it has been really good and has been really high quality production, but like the story behind the player, you know, and it's usually like the piano gets added and it's a bit of a sob story, and you get to feel more for the player. But I do think, yeah, like Dota has done a pretty good job overall, and Peter as well. Like keep like spicing itself up, or the players have been good at spicing things up. So if you were following on Twitter, I'll say that build has been there since the beginning from the community. Even early on, people were threatening each other at LAN events, like, I'm gonna beat your ass, or I'm gonna do this to you. And I feel like that was it's still better than the dull mundane stuff. Like if you don't have enough to hype yourself around the match, like somebody else got to do it, you know. And I appreciate that. I appreciate that about the Dota scene.
But every single time we do it, like the whole paper is like, you should apologize, you should be ashamed, you're running a company. It's like, wait a second, dude, we're fucking playing video games. And all I'm saying is, what is the tweet, Peter? Put another shitty team together and come and play me on qualifiers? I don't know, remember exactly how it was?
Put together another one of your shitty stacks or something, and something about, I don't know if it was like related to NA quals or something. I don't remember how it started. I just remember the shitty stack. You were on that stack later, Johan, so don't laugh too much.
Yeah, finding this.
We all have our time.
I'm trying.
We all have our time in the spotlight, and then we, like, you know, you see the people on the way up, and then you also see them on the way down. And you know, kind of how you treat them on the way up is how you get treated on the way down, right? To some degree.
That's pretty fair.
And like,
I learned that.
In your career. So, yeah, I don't think people really missed me when I left Dota, so it's okay.
I miss you dearly, and I will tell you something. When we were in EG after you left, and you play CM, we had a drinking game, dude. Every single time you die, we will drink, and after your games of CM, we'll all be trash at one point because you died so much. That was our drinking game.
But I'm that famous to get your attention like that.
Sounds like any CM game, to be honest.
Yeah, but you know, Peter will pick it up.
She's still one of my favorite heroes, even though she's never only had a couple of good patches. It's just from Heroes of Newerth.
It's not this one, I'll tell you then.
How is life for you after Dota? You know, these two guys, Johan and Ceb, are now going through a little bit of a transformation as they both are, you know, doing other things in life. How was for you? Yep. Can you give us a little bit of advice of what they're gonna find through their life?
Yeah, welcome to the other side. It's not as fun. I would definitely say that. COVID sucks, right? Like, it's really, I don't know how you guys feel over there, but here it's just like, I don't know. Nobody does anything. Like, even on the weekends, it's like, do you want to go out? Like, not really. And then also, like, in the combination of like working from home and working remotely, I spend like 80% of my time in my bedroom. I was telling my wife before I came on this call, like, I look like somebody who spends a lot of time in front of his computer. But no, I was lucky. I kind of tried to do my own thing. I was trying to start like my own player agency right when I left Dota, but that kind of spiraled and failed, and then I had to look for something else, and I ended up finding a position with eSports Engine as a program manager. So I'll just like provide a little detail about like what that actually is and who they are. eSports Engine, if you're not familiar, these are the guys that used to be MLG back in the day, running like StarCraft 2 events, and then they ran a couple of Dota events. Maybe you guys played at some. I think Ceb, you were at X Games Boston, maybe. So that was them. Maybe N0Tail was too. I think maybe Fnatic won that event.
I went to the one with Miracle. The first tournament with OG, I think, was MLG. Also somewhere really hot. I'm trying to remember if that was...
There was an MLG in Columbus, but that was too early, maybe.
New Orleans.
Yeah, that sounds right. New Orleans. Went to New Orleans. Yeah. I think that's the one.
Yeah,
That's the one.
that was really funny because MLG has this great model that I've really liked, where it's they have like open qualifiers for all the Call of Duty players, and they all come play in this like they have like a bunch of console sets for them to play. So I don't know what they call them, but console setups of people to play, and then they all play in the tournaments, and they all get eliminated, and then they stay in the crowd and watch the pros play on Sunday for the finals and stuff. And so they've got a bunch of people at the event, and they've got people in the seats, and then they tried to do kind of the same thing for Dota, but without like the open qualifier, and then there was like 10 people in the crowd for this tournament. It was not so great, but
wasn't that
anyways.
MLG as well, the one with the famous Arteezy speed gaming Ceb quote?
That was Columbus,
He's pretty.
right? I think
That was Columbus. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
MLG Columbus.
that's another
that's where I
meme.
live now, and that's
He's pretty good.
All right, let me come back
yeah,
at this.
yeah.
I won't let you get shit talk again. Basically, back then, who were the top mid laners that I quoted back then? I think it was like Fata,
You
Dandy.
can't be serious.
Alright, I give up. I'm done. I'm actually gonna log off.
Oh, tell me, they were the top mid laners, and then what?
I think that was Arteezy's first tournament, right? Wasn't it? Like LAN. I mean,
I think so. First LAN with speed
might have
gaming
been
and enemy.
his first LAN, yeah. So throughout the playoffs, he was already called like by some as being like the best mid laner ever. And I was like, hey, this is
Did you
too
just
soon,
read that on Reddit or something? Or was that actually what a caster said?
No. What do you mean? Oh no. I actually don't remember it. Yeah, actually, who said that? Like, how did I even hear about it? I don't know.
Did you just read some Reddit comment and you reacted?
No, because I was
Like
at a
you
LAN, so I
reacted.
couldn't even read Reddit.
Okay,
So
okay.
I don't
Okay.
remember. Maybe it was the interviewer that asked me the question or something. Like, oh, he seems to be the best mid laner in the world. What do you think? I don't remember. Anyways, good old times or not.
I'm glad to see that you haven't changed, Ceb. I thought you were gonna say something
Let's
funny
just go
about
through
Arteezy.
me and Seb's Twitter will be the content of this podcast.
Yeah.
As well, I'm going through it right now.
You can just scroll through it. It's gonna take a while.
Oh, sorry, I was interrupting Peter. You were going.
Yeah, sorry,
you were
Peter. We're talking about
the.
eSports Engine.
I was talking
Orleans
about
first-
boring stuff.
No, but I
let's talk about boring
actually
stuff.
know a lot about your company and Adam Apicella, and these guys are like the OGs. They're so good at their job. They create all these like grassroots system in Call of Duty, and they organize still like the Call of Duty World Champions this year in LA. It was them. The Halo event that I went in Right League, it was also them. Like, they're amazing.
Oh, you were there?
They're great. I was there, yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, so we work with lots of other game developers on their esport programs, and basically our goal is like so many of these developers don't have like a developed esports department, so they have like very low resources in terms of like people, but they might have like a large budget. So then these people that work with the company kind of represent the esports department. They come hire us, who is like, we're like 150 to 200 people now at our company, so they hire us to kind of be an extension of their team to help make their esports programs happen. And my job is to kind of make sure that we're making the program as good as it can be and taking most advantage of all of our internal teams. Like, we have comp ops, we have broadcast, we have engineering, social media, marketing, all kinds of stuff. So content. Yeah, we do a lot of everything. I can't talk about what stuff exactly I work on. But I don't know if any of you guys were ever a part of this conversation, but back in, I think it was at the Manila Major, I went around to all of the teams telling them that I wanted to start my own Dota tournament with like all of the players and kind of like make our own Dota company. And looking back on that, I realized like how kind of naive I was and how maybe people were like, there's no way Peter's going to be able to pull this off. But now I kind of feel like a little bit more empowered, which is why I wanted to talk to you guys. It's like, what can we actually do to make Dota turn things around, or not turn things around, but at least like take most advantage of the situation.
I remember when you pitched the idea to me, and I was all on board. My biggest but or if or not disbelief, but like the last thing to probably sway me over would be the getting some sort of recognition from Valve. Like any anything that Valve would have said would have been very exciting, or like for me would have made this possible. But I still have that worry right now. It's like we could spend a lot of effort, time, and money on trying to build this so that we could then just pitch it, but it would then come with a great risk, and I don't even know how likely it would be that, because I think most of the teams would be ready to sign off on it and would have a lot of wishes and good reason for why this could be a good idea, a more transparent way of running tournaments, because now it's like a lowest bidder type deal, and how things fluctuate is going to be all up to how Valve might feel, and all up to what the tournament organizer can provide, and the players and also the fans don't really get much info or much of a vote. And I think it could be much more transparent type business where you're kind of paying for good entertainment, or this is the entertainment that's going to be put in place, and people are going to feel like doing a better job as well.
I listened to your guys' podcast last week with your new gaming guy. What was his name again?
Mike.
Yeah.
Mike. Yeah, and you guys were talking about how the changes in the Dota scene has kind of caused this like fragmented attention, whereas like back in the day, like when the Dota tournament was happening, like you would only watch that Dota tournament for like the next 4 days. So like even if you didn't catch it live, you would kind of just like wake up and turn on the VOD and like watch your favorite team play or whatever it might be. But with this new system where everything is so spread out, because the good games are few and far between, people just lose attention entirely. Like they just don't care about Dota anymore. And I guess that's just kind of how I felt as a spectator, honestly, as well. It's like I absolutely want to watch like OG versus Secret, or Liquid playing against Tundra or something, but I just don't really go out of my way to kind of, I don't know, if there was a tournament, like watching the regional finals, for example, like I was tuning in for as much as I could. But for the rest of the DPC, I barely watched.
I feel the same way about you. And go ahead, Ceb.
Why do you think it's like that, like for you? Because like you're a great example too. Like you're obviously quite interested in these games. Like you've seen, you've been pretty excited about watching these games. Maybe still are. Like, what is it really with the DPC format that makes you lose interest in it?
Well, I think the stakes of the games are far too low, like the regular season game. Like there isn't enough of these like pinnacle moments, is what I would call them, right? Like our pinnacle moment is really just, I mean, winning the major is pretty cool, I would say. But winning TI or even placing well at TI is really the pinnacle moment for everybody, fans included. So we've always kind of had that problem in Dota where like the rest of the season isn't as exciting, which is completely reasonable because of the extreme anomaly that TI is. But back in the day when we had more of like these, hey, this weekend we're going to Germany for ESL, and next weekend we're going to LA for Beyond the Summit. Like these tournaments, being able to have that crowning moment, hoist the trophy. Who cares what the prize pool was, but sometimes it was exciting. But just winning, right, was the ultimate feeling.
You remember when those tournaments, the ESLs and the Summits, when they also kind of had a stake for TI, like even a small Beyond the Summit weighed in on the TI invites. That actually made that tournament so much more hype. I think also for the viewers, but definitely for the people attending. Like everybody who had not secured a TI invite or weren't sure, because nothing was public, nothing was obvious, then these tournaments actually matter so much more.
Games nowadays, like everything is developed into how can you give these people these dopamine moments where like they get super excited like as frequently as possible. Like short form video is a great example of like Instagram Reels and TikToks and shorts. Like this is going to be how people consume content in the future, right? Like I already see myself doing it more so than watching like complete videos. So the shorter we can kind of, the less time in between these great moments, I think is where we should be going.
I was going to say that to try to bring a little bit more into the macro level. Okay, so before we used to have a system where for X amount of time, the whole attention will be concentrated on this tournament. And after 4 days or 5 days, there will be a champion and there will be a bunch of losers, people that lost. And the fact that the storyline was very simple to follow, what Peter is saying, which I agree with you, is that you will just only be watching Dota. I remember waking up in the morning, turning my laptop on, turning the whatever the stream was, and that was there for the rest of the day. I could be cooking, I could be doing laundry, I could be doing anything, and all I did was watch Dota. I don't do that anymore because I don't watch any of the tier 2 division games or anything like that. I don't care about half of the teams. Not because I don't care. I care in the moment that is aim to somebody winning, you know? Like, I could watch, remember, like, Happy Feeds versus Fnatic, because at the end of the day, one of them was going to move into the other bracket, you know? But right now, it's not like that.
Yep.
And they spread the game so much that I don't tune in 2 hours a day or 3 hours a day or 5 hours a day just to watch whatever they want to give me, because there's no stakes. So, right? That is the idea of what you're saying?
Yeah, the stakes are too low.
I was just gonna add one thing. Like, I don't know if you have the same, but for the later end of for the qualifiers, it's usually so much more hype because you get closer to the tiebreakers. I think a big flaw lies in the beginning of the qualified DPC system. Like, if they would literally hash out so that everybody had played 6 out of their 8 games, or if you had, it's 8 or 10 in the group, I forget. But if you play out the majority of the games and you leave a few for the end, that would most likely be a way better recipe for that hype and for the care. Because the beginning of it is just so slow. Like, you're week by week by week, and these points, nothing is settled. Like, nothing matters. Of course, for the teams, these games, you have to show up, and they do matter. And it is still your ticket to TI and everything, but it does not feel like it as a viewer.
Hey, Peter, so when you were transitioning from player to CEO, you were the CEO of EG. And I really thought that you were doing a lot of really cool shit and very authentic, which is why I wanted to work with you. And I remember that transition, dude. You were like the clean CEO. You were with your glasses, no tattoos, super clean, very businessman. Dude, how can you end up like this?
What the hell, dude?
No, he's right, man. I was a nerd, but I was a real nerd back in the day. But I think the nerdier and like the fatter you are, like the better gamer you are. So. Okay. That was my 2014, 2015. That was my peak power, and then it was just all downhill from there with the money and the fame and the women and the fat, everything.
But I saw you like now you're fully tattooed, right? You have tats everywhere, like, well, the arms, I think, at least.
Yeah, they started that. They hurt a lot, so I stopped. But maybe one day I'll continue.
Okay, can you do this? Sure.
Wait, you stopped doing your sleeves arm, right? Because of the pain?
Yeah, the right arm.
No, I mean, I have tattoo.
That's awesome.
Oh, this is like a tattoo showing moment. Thanks, bro.
It's awesome. Where were we? I was, because I haven't seen you for years, and then I saw you. I think it was at the after party in Shanghai, and then you went from like full clean, the businessman, to full tattoo rock star, like lives in Seattle and all that.
I'm just a gaming degen who has no idea what I want to do with my life. So I'm just going one wave to the next.
Then you're gonna be perfect in this conversation. I have 2 of them on my own, trying to figure out what to do with your life.
What to now, Peter? I'm growing potatoes. I'm telling you, my potatoes just came out of the ground, man. That's the best thing that's happened to me since TI9.
Yeah. A good day is a day where I get to do whatever I want, right? Like, be able to play. Sometimes a good day is playing a lot of video games, right? Having that freedom, but at the same time, a bad day could be playing too much video games, right? Where it's like you don't do anything with your day. Now you feel like, where's the fulfillment, right? So when I was an unemployed North American Dota 2 player, it's a really blurry line of, hey, I want to keep playing to get better so I can eventually get to TI, or it's, hey, I just want to keep playing because I don't want to face the reality of what's not me trying to get to TI.
This is hitting home right now. This is hitting home right now. Somehow the retired player of this conversation plays 15 hours a day. Oh, hi, Ceb. So how are you doing?
Oh, that's Ceb. Yeah, Ceb definitely plays. I have thought about playing Dota again because I guess the NI guys started up the IXDL, or I don't know if it's still going, but they were playing some in-house games for a bit. It seemed pretty fun. I definitely miss it. Johan, do you play still?
Barely, dude. I'm playing when I stream, and I'm playing normal games with OD Pixel and Webpass and stuff like Scriff and Shiver.
YouTube content.
Yeah, I mean, just keeping like a bit of touch with the fans and a bit of touch with Dota, and then I'm looking at the boys play, and I'm hoping to. I mean, I really want to get back into the competitive. Even in the normal games, they drag my brain back into stuff that is like that does not belong in normal games, and I could only get that fulfillment working with the guys. But you shouldn't be asking me. The one to be asking is Ceb. He has a problem. He has an addiction, and I don't know what to do with him, where he's gonna put it, because he still plays as much as ever. I don't get it. You know, like you finally free Ceb. Like, do something else, man. Get a cactus.
What am I gonna do with a cactus?
Your ambition.
Yeah, so you haven't found another hobby, is what you're saying.
No, I mean,
I want
it's
to know
just...
if Ceb has another hobby.
Yeah, it's... No, I wouldn't say hobbies. I mean, it's just like, now my days are kind of spent doing the things that I have to do, and there's actually a lot. So then whenever I should kind of find time to just build another hobby, but then I'm like, what's the point, you know? Like, what am I gonna... Like, am I gonna start...
Same.
Because it's
Same,
like,
bro.
if I'm gonna invest time into something, I wanna get far in it. So I could start over and invest time into something else, but at the same time, like, I just don't see the point, because I feel like the Dota part is still gonna be needed, whether it is, you know, for the team or just, you know, insights, or... But it's not really me trying to do achieve something. It's more like killing time in a way. But yeah, probably killing too much time.
So
Oh
Peter,
God.
just so you
And
know,
it's
we
not
have
even
completely
like...
different.
Yeah.
So the
No, go ahead.
Johan stopped playing completely, radically. He just farms, works out, he has the dogs, and he's trying to stay as away as he can from Dota, where he finds himself, while Ceb is playing right now like he's playing TI tomorrow. He's ready. I mean, he's ready right now. Ceb, how ready are you to play right now?
Hey, that's how he won his first TI, right? He was ready. So
He's always ready.
No, but
it's not a bad place to be.
Yeah. No, but it's like, yeah. I mean, I don't know. You need to find something that, I mean, for the time that you decide to spend, how you decide to spend it, you need to find something that's as fulfilling. And I don't know if potatoes would do it for me, but it's different tempers, different, you know, like, yeah, different people. I think that's quite important, though, finding...
But
Yeah,
Ceb, you realize that
finding
you
what you
might
like to
never
do.
find anything that gives you this level of fulfillment or this level of dopamine. That might never exist. Because you are right now used to a high level that my life is not like that, you know? My days are more potato farming than winning TI in a stage or playing against... Yeah.
That's why gaming is awesome. But
Yeah. But look, Peter, the truth is that I'm making fun of them, but they work a lot on the company. They work a lot with me on the company. But it's true that it's not like 18 hours a day. We do 1 hour and a half or 1 hour a day, very intense work. And then, like Ceb is saying, it feels like we have to do it. So it never feels like, you know, because running a company, as you know yourself, there are not like a lot of peaks. You don't really feel that, yay, I won something, you know? It's more like this constant grind.
But I was gonna ask, so were you guys still in love with the competitive side, or what made you feel like I need a break? Yeah, were you running from something, or were you running towards something?
how dramatic should I be? Well, first off, I was running away from MiLAN on NIP because I played one tournament with him as a stand-in, and I decided to retire after that. And then I was on a team with Snake King and Moo, which was just a different kind of nightmare. And yeah, and then I decided to call it quits after that. Go do something else. So.
You
Right,
two
you
have
can
something
only
in
deal
common,
with
though.
so
You both
much.
have a good relationship with MiLAN, huh?
Oh my
There's
God.
a MiLAN and Ceb beef as well in pubs. Like, he pauses in all chats and stuff. So it's like, you guys got
MiLAN
going on
is
here.
MiLAN is an awesome player, but he picks Mirana every game, right? Like that's. And what I mean by that is, like, Mirana is just like the easiest 4-position hero to play, and then he thinks he's fucking good when he does well on it. It's like,
I have missed that, actually. I needed
Oh, you
more of
missed
that in my
that.
life. No, I mean, I
Bottom-
couldn't
a
agree
bottom
more. I
picker,
couldn't
man.
agree more. And he picks Miranda so that he can leap away if his team is in trouble, which
Yeah.
is a good mindset to play Dota competitively.
yeah, Mirana's a great hero for people with bad positioning, right? Like,
Yeah.
you're able to just
can
leap away
be-
whenever you're in trouble.
You can mess up 3 times and still feel good about yourself, which is not as
Yeah.
true on CM, by the way. right? Because these Mirana players, I do not know if their stats would be better than the CM stat we discussed earlier. I question that.
That's why Peter is like the truest love movement CM. You know, if you're not perfect, you're dying every time.
Just knows where to stop, knows where to stand for the rest of the game because you can't move much. You gotta
Dude, I really have so many questions,
clicks.
Peter, for you. Like, I just don't know where we're gonna go with this podcast, but obviously we saw the news of Fata right now from Tundra, and Fata is a beloved character in this community because Ceb play with him, you play with
the
him.
news of what? Did I miss something?
Fata got kicked. Ceb didn't know. Ding, ding, ding. Fata had a Tundra, dude. Yeah, dude. And he just tweeted like, "I am kicked. I am taking a break." Like, and here the follow-up tweet was, "I am kicked by a player that tried to replace someone else in the team, and I said no." So he had kept another player. So we were theory crafting just before Peter and I were maybe it's Saxa and that they were replacing Snake King, and then. Because it's a support, right? Like, who else would they replace Fata with that had tried to replace someone else? It most likely would be a support.
It's
so,
like...
yeah, how could you kick Fata? Right? That's your reaction. How could you kick Fata?
This is crazy. No, but it's like...
I think their strategies and their laning phase was from him. Sorry, go on.
No, it's just... It keeps happening. Like, you see these teams and you know why they're winning, right? Like... I remember, now, Peter, you're here, so I want to speak under your authority, but I was looking at EG back then, I was looking at Fear, you were with Fear on the roster, right? Mm-hmm. No, you're, yes. I don't like your, I see the face you're doing.
It is.
Anyways, yeah. Let's leave EG aside for now then, because maybe this is
No, go for it, Ceb, go for it.
We'll get back to it. But then it's the big kicks, like there was the Matu kick from Liquid, and it's like anybody that understands Dota to a little bit, understands that you just kicked your best player, and it cannot go well after that, which it didn't. And then there's recently Secret, I don't know if they kicked them or if Zaya and Matu just left, but same, they just lost the reason why they were winning any game. And now Fata out of Tundra, like Fata is 95% of Tundra. I'll just say it like this.
And remember
the
NIP
at this
and
point,
Soneko.
It doesn't matter. Huh?
Remember the NIP and Soneko?
But
when they took Soneko, they couldn't work.
Yeah, but from what I understood, he was obviously their best player. He's been the best player on almost all the teams he's been in. Honestly, I think he's one of the best in the world. Still, always been. But he seemed to have like behavior issues. Like all his teammates were complaining about him and that he would give up on the team or whatnot. That's like different. This is something you could understand. Maybe that's what happened with Fata. Maybe. But I've heard about Fata from people that he has, drastically changed his behavior, and that's like a long time ago. I'm talking already. This was the case like 3-4 years ago, because back in the day he did have some, toxicity problem, but then he fixed it completely, and apparently he even became like the heartbeat of the teams he's been part of. But in terms of Dota, I'm talking strictly in terms of Dota. Like Fata goes, Tundra goes. I can already,
I think so.
I'm happy to be proven wrong.
I think so.
You guys talk a lot about like the play that he brings to the game, but I never even think about that stuff. Like I always just think about like the team dynamics and his position as like a leader. And I mentioned to Johan before the podcast, but like he did have a strong personality. But that's one of the reasons why I wasn't surprised when I left NIP, or I'm sorry, when Fata and Neta left NIP and they went and made Alliance, that they had success. I was like, that's not surprising, because Fata just, he's the kind of, or at least in that moment, he was a player who needed to kind of like take control of his destiny and become a captain and lead a team. And he has the strength to do that. And not many people have that sort of like strength or charisma or whatever you want to contribute it to. But it takes a certain kind of individual to get the boys together and actually put up some results.
But then how do you get kicked? Like, how does it happen?
Okay.
You get kicked. You get kicked because because you're pushing too hard. You're pushing your teammates to be better because you want because you want to win. And maybe, I can relate to this a lot. Like maybe you push on your teammates too hard, or maybe you let your frustrations make you cross the line one too many times, right? Like,
but then it means that you haven't been
it's a little too
reading the room in a while, right? Because you could push them too hard, but also, if it gets to that, if it gets that far, because if you get kicked, I assume that the majority or maybe even the entirety of the team just don't want to have anything to do with you anymore.
Yeah. Yep. But the question is, are they saying they don't want him there because he's bringing negativity to the team because he's not happy with their current status? Or are they all just looking for an easy way out to get rid of this guy who's bringing all these problems to them?
I think, in my opinion, it's a problem with the structure, because that's why you need the coaches, the assistant coaches, the manager, and the general managers around it. Because this is there's the undeniable truth. Undeniable truth is that Tundra is Fata. But you're right, Peter, and you felt this in yourself. Your definition of excellency is different than everybody else. We have this with Ceb as well. Ceb needs us to be excellent on everything, or at least try to pursue it. Well, somebody else maybe just want to be chill, So Ceb is the number one in the world because he drove everybody to be the number one in the world. His definition for him and for everybody is higher than everybody else. So when we are not playing good, Ceb is going to tell you that we're not playing good. Now, he's so fucking experienced and so fucking smart that through the years, he went from fucking mad to Ceb, where he realized that you could be kinder and lead people with honey and inspire them instead of just hit them with a fucking stick,
Sure. And at some point, people will probably respected him and listened, and he didn't have to fight so hard to get them to what he was saying. And that's
Peter, you're gonna be mind blown.
That relates a ton to me because I just like my experience with Sumail is like exactly like that. Like I had Sumail on my team his first year in Dota, 15 years old, had absolutely no ego, right? We taught him everything about the game and like the competitive scene, and he taught us some things too, right? But just through his natural abilities and his talent. We win a TI, we go play Dota the next year. All of a sudden, he's a hotshot. He's connected to other players. Everybody likes him. He's popular. He's a star, right? And now he doesn't want to listen to Peter tell him, "Hey, you got to be better prepared for practice." And that's the reason why I go at the end of that year, more so than anything else. And then you look what happens. Team, just kind of dribbles until everybody's gone. Keep changing rosters, blaming something else, and then it's just gone. And that's could be what happens here with Fata.
Yeah,
that's what I think. We need the managers and the general managers, to make sure that this doesn't happen. Somebody else has to take the shot or the bullet for the team. Cannot be the captain.
That's you. That's the CEO speaking. For me, it's like the leadership of the team, or the whatever's going to drive the team forward, which is usually two people, like not just one. Sometimes it could be one, but I think usually it's a two people thing. If they want to drive it forward, then they need to like kind of figure it out and make the hard choices that might need to be taken, And if there's no direct driving force, if like you don't know where the engine's at or what's driving it forward, then then you're in a weird team dynamic or in a team game where it's just gonna choke each other out. Like it's gonna be a slow death type deal because you might have some drive, but it's not going anywhere, and the drive doesn't sound like it's high enough to really go far. But I don't know how Fata ends up in that situation. No, like if he has a lot of drive and everything, and then he ends up getting pushed out, that's really a shame. Or if he's not had, or if like there's not this 2-man type leadership, and people then just start disagreeing very heavily with him. And what Peter said, it might just be an easier way out to kind of move on from your problems, but your problems might be very real. Like we won't know, but they might have very real problems that are stopping them from getting better. And they might just not be ready to face him as a group of 4. I don't know. It's hard to say from the outside, but all I can say is in my teams, it's always been a 2-man type dynamic thing.
I agree with that. Yeah. With the 2 people, and I would say to JMR's point, I think that Dota is really unique in that place where it's really the players who are kind of building and deciding on the roster. I don't know how your experiences have been in CSGO, but I know many other esport games, it's a little bit more micromanaged by management. Whereas Dota, it's like once the second you lose the trust in your teammate, that you can't go back. Sometimes you can't get back to it. Where it's like trusting your teammates matters so much in Dota because it's these split-second decisions that decide whether or not you win or lose the game. And if you don't trust your teammates, you're going to second guess what he maybe tells you to do or what he says he's going to do, and in that moment you could lose the game.
And then
So
you overcorrect
the
and
way I
all that.
look at it,
Yeah.
yeah, like the way I look at it is, I mean, it's very true what you're saying about Dota. It's definitely the case, but earlier you said that sometimes like a way to fix it is that you get respected enough so that these things don't happen. It is true, and it is true that it helps. At the same time, even like I've had experiences, like we've had these experiences, like last TI literally, where we're coming in, 2-time defending champions. We've won it both times before, and even then, it's hard to have some people just listen and let you guide them. And what I mean is, like, if in that situation you can't acquire the trust, as in you can't demand it and get it, it means nobody will ever, with some profiles and some characters, as in temperaments rather, like nobody will ever get the trust from them naturally, ever. I think some people are not capable of trusting to 100% at all. I don't know if it's linked to how they function as human beings, or where they are with their lives. If it's more like structural or situational, it doesn't really matter. But what I'm trying to say is, like, I think I've learned, and now I think I know it's a double way thing, where it's like when somebody doesn't trust you as a leader, especially in a team, in a Dota team, it has to be, part of the blame is on him or her, but it's only him for now. And part of the blame has to be on you too, because then you failed to build that relationship or inspire the trust, or you failed to manage when the trust started to break, right? And I see what you mean, that when you say that sometimes when it's broken, it's hard to get back. I like to think there's always a way back. At least if it just broke, there has to be. But maybe then if you just let it let it be for too long, then it's probably too hard to go back, or like it would damage something else.
So the one thing that I would like to say, I didn't mean to say that I have to be the one making those choices, but it was obvious last year when we were doing the bootcamp that somehow there was something broken and somebody had to put it on the table, so we spoke about it. And that's what I think that management and Mia, that is our sports psychologist, can help. Because I don't know how Tundra works, but if you get to the point where Fata has to get kicked, I think that you fail as a whole group, because you can't kick him.
Of course.
It doesn't work like that. And when you got kicked, there was clearly something. Yeah, time will tell. I get that, but I also would like to think that is like they had something unique and they was supposed to be preserved. The EG with you there had something unique and it was supposed to be preserved. And the moment that it broke, it meant that the mission of the whole project was broken. For me, when they kicked you, as much as I could drink shots when you die as CM, the core of EG and the identity of EG and how you play was you. You build that to be a representation in a way of who you are as a person. For better or for worse, it had your good things and it had your bad things, that project.
Yeah, the actual evil geniuses. That's me.
Mm-hmm. The evil of evil geniuses was you. And the soul and how they play and the cockiness and the edge. Yeah. So for me... Okay, so let's put it differently. How is that different from Fly to EG? Because that was different. Fly was not kicked. But at that moment, you could say when Fly leaves, the whole project dies.
Wait, he left or he got kicked?
Project was never with him.
No. OG. When Fly left OG.
Oh, OG you mean, not EG. Because he got kicked from EG, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
Well, it's important.
No, I don't know. I really don't know.
But maybe it was like a more mutual. I mean, at the end of the day, if you're fully transparent, you can come to these conclusions like mutually and stuff. But I would say definitely for OG, like I think when that happened, maybe there was already a bit of a power structure that have been shaped. But I would say that I think a lot of people sided with Jesse and Ceb, but I would say through my OG, that was that iteration. But through my history in OG, I think a lot of it was built up still around me. So I don't know. What do you think, Ceb? When Tal left, how do you? What did you think about the project? Did OG kind of remain as a project, or do you think it entirely changed?
I mean, I like what you said about having two people kind of running a project. I think it's always a little bit like that, and when it's only one person, I think that person can easily lose his sanity to all the things that he has to carry on his shoulder. No, but honestly, whether it is dealing with the players that are not professional or whatever is going on with them, everybody has their issues, and there's always been so little support from the staff around like in Dota for the longest time, and I'm sure Peter and you, Johan, I mean, you guys know what I'm talking about, but it's like when you were a captain, you were the D team yourself alone. You had to do everything. Nobody would help you. Whatever, you had to keep everybody in check mentally, do the Dota part, also deal with of course, thank God for managers that they were there to help, but at the same time, their help could only be a little bit limited. So I think naturally for the successful teams, you always had kind of this duo, and of course that duo was you and Tal, Johan and OG, and I think that so a lot of things were built around him, and a lot of things were built around you. And I think there was a moment where he lost faith in the team, and you didn't. But there was still a lot to keep building on, which was what you had brought. And of course, he took a lot of things with him, but I also think that some things that he built for OG were still there. I think like what he used to bring was mostly related to healthy practice, healthy way to approach, the day-to-day kind of thing. And in Dota 2, obviously concepts and stuff, but these concepts kind of they were there. They were not going anywhere, and of course they were molded by you, by all the players that you guys played with. These things became team concepts more than anyone's concepts. But since you were looking at the future and you were looking to build more, I think that's why also naturally Jesse and I were like, it never felt like the Dota part was crippled so that we couldn't keep building on top of it. It actually felt quite the opposite, that now the person that was kind of making a lot of the calls and that had lost faith in the team just left, gave the floor. It's like, all right, you can make happen whatever you want to see happen. So I mean that departure actually felt like like freedom more than anything, honestly. That's how it felt back then. Besides the how it was handled and all of it.
Always go better. Saying goodbye is never easy.
Yep. But I'm curious, is like when you get kicked and then you have to announce it on Twitter, like imagine how poorly handled this must be so that he has to tweet that he got kicked. Like what kind of conversations happened, if any? Like maybe there was not a single conversation. He got some, it's 2022 and maybe he just got a Discord message, yo, by the way, you kicked by, or something, like 4 words, 5 words. It is insane to me.
Avoid the conflict. That was
avoid the conflict.
Unfortunately, that's the story of certain teams, and I think attacking that conflict is one of the most important things that you have to do as a team. Kind of call out the elephant in the room, say, hey, this is a problem. Let's talk about how we want to deal with this, and actually go. That's how you get better. And people that shy away from conflict or don't have somebody that brings that conflict to the table within their teams, like those teams will never get better. And that's people like Fata, that's people like me, that's people like maybe Ceb, probably N0Tail at times. But that's what it takes, right? Like you have to put yourself in these uncomfortable, stressful situations in order to come out the other end a better person and a better team, I would say.
I think that is also the reason why teams that don't scrim very much or scrim less and go to officials and do well, they will have a more fragile team atmosphere and team dynamic come to like the big tournaments or at a time when they might get tested, which is most likely going to always happen at TI, right? But I've always wondered, like, mostly about Team Secret, how they had a very not so much intense practice regime, quite the extreme opposite, where they would practice very little and yet be very successful, but then they would always have a really hard time at big tournaments until TI10 they had their best placement. But I think this type of personality or personality, this choice of like running away from conflict means that you should also spend less time together and try to keep it very, you know, like you're not going to become the best team, but you can show up, you can be very professional, and you can hopefully not run into these issues, you know. And I've seen people have great success with that, like mainly Team Secret, and that has always bothered me.
Stay down.
But at the same time, I do think to become the very best team, it is to actually, you know, do exactly that. It's like look for your problems, run at them, make them come out, get yourself frustrated, get everyone frustrated, get yourself to the lowest low or like the most annoyed point in your life, and sit there in the same game and figure it out, you know, during the game, because that's gonna be worth a lot later on. But yeah, like that conflict running thing, I think is so much about what becoming a good team is. It's what eventually kills most teams. No transparency, none of the hard talks are being had, and eventually it just boils over.
I was gonna say that Johan and Ceb, even though they have immense experience doing this, and we have Mia and we have all that, we still fuck up. We had a very rough time last year when we had one of the versions of the roster and it got really poisonous inside, and people were not talking to each other, and we kind of have to blow it up at one point so they could actually talk because nobody was talking. So even the right people with the right mindset can sometimes get stuck.
Yeah. I was definitely not perfect, so I would agree with that.
Now I'm going to tell you another story, which I have no idea if we'll ever make it to the podcast. This was my first new team, and it was very interesting, you know, because we realized what players do we wanted to get, and we talked to Topias and we talked to Ceb and Johan, and they were like, dude, the younger the better. Because you mentioned something that is, Ceb touched upon this, but I was about to even hammer it harder. After winning 2 TIs, they would not listen to Ceb. Do you know how crazy this is? What else this guy has to do? Because at one point, you know, at one point you gotta be like, hey, I do know better. Okay, let me just tell you, I do know better. And no, he wouldn't. They wouldn't listen to him. Crazy.
Delicate topic. I was gonna mention. Sorry to interrupt you one more time, but I was actually, remember before you guys got Topson for the first time, I was actually on his stream. I was at some tournament, I think it was like ESL Hamburg with NIP, and we were talking about having Fata move to, I think we were going to have Fata move to offlane, maybe replace 33, or no, we were going to do some roster change where Fata was no longer going to be mid, because if you remember, Fata was our mid that year, and he was like, it was his first time playing mid in like 4 years, because we just needed a mid player. And we didn't have anyone else, and so he's like, "Okay, I'll play mid." So we were thinking about Topson to kind of replace him as our mid, but we decided inevitably not to make the change. And then you guys won TI twice in a row.
I think there was a lot of people looking up Topson that year, but now I have a question for you, Ceb and Johan. Do you think that Topson or Anna could have been this successful in other rosters? Because they will be successful. They're both incredible players, but this successful? I don't know. They're both very creative and very special kids.
So I was going to mention that it's a bit paradoxical to actually fully win someone over, to fully gain somebody's trust. I think of it like you have to show yourself that you are no better than the person in that room, that you are the same, you're the same human being who went through the womb, who was a baby, who was like vulnerable. You have to expose all your weaknesses, that you're not sure. At the end of the day, you don't always feel sure about your Dota things, about, you know, are you the best? Do you know your shit? Are you better than this guy? Are you always going to crush it? And once you show that side and you show, yo, bro, I'm like you, I think it's very important, because I think to really get as far as you need to get, you're going to have to do it. But now that you do it, you also open a door to the other person doubting you as much as he doubts himself. So if Ceb or me were to go to a new player and be like, yo, bro, that we won TI doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. Like, we're just like you. Your potential is higher than ours. You know, you can be a better player than we've ever been, and you can be that tomorrow. While you say that, you also, again, it's like the paradox where you're also letting them know that you can be equally shit, you know, that you have the greatest potential, but that you're as shit as they are right now, or you have the ability to be. And I think this, for a lot of people, kind of festers, and they actually start doubting that you might not have it, or you might actually, you know, and I don't want to say it, but you might have fluked it, you know, like you might have gotten somewhere without being good enough through chance. I'm not saying that that's always the case, but I do think that these things jump into a lot of people's head, and it's something I felt talking to young players. So the younger the better in general, because I think there's less of it the younger they are. But also the more they're open to get inspired, the more they're open to learn, the more they're open to actually view you as somebody who can help, meaning you know better, the more you can help them. Because if they start thinking that you don't know your shit, I mean, it's going to be very limited to how much you can help them, like how much you can actually give them, because they might not take it in or listen. So yeah, I struggle a bit with this as like a concept also for the new guys. Is like, I want to really diffuse the whole situation of like achievement or past experiences to kind of go on the same playing field or the same level. But then at the same time, when you go on the same level, it might get taken advantage of you, or like you're not going to be that cocky motherfucker who knows everything, which also has its own way of backfiring, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. Does that make sense to people? Does that resonate with either of you?
No, it does. You just have to find the right balance, I feel. But maybe it's also it depends on the profile of the person you're addressing, and then maybe some person will function better if you show them that you're equals and you're just, you know, like you just have to follow one way, and if it's gonna be my way or your way, it doesn't matter. What matters is that we do it properly, meaning we put enough trust and enough, effort and whatnot. And for others, maybe you actually need that what's it called, to keep that pedestal, kinda, of like, hey, this is me, this is you.
Big dick ego.
But no, but sometimes, I mean, it's a struggle. Like I have found myself in many situations where I'm like, okay, what face do I put now? Like, how do I behave? And it's like, it's not even about being spontaneous anymore. It's like, what is the best way to inspire that person to, at the end of the day, just like listen to me, listen to Johan, listen to just follow the team, and find his place. And yes, I mean, some people are really good at that, I think, naturally, and some people are really bad at that. Like I remember yesterday, like Jarex, like and I mean, for instance, you have profiles like Topias that he's really good at that because it suits him, it suits his personality, that he doesn't have to take too much responsibility, that there's already a lot of things happening and the direction is kind of decided already, and then he can just like do his own thing quietly, focus on what he cares. And then you have profiles that naturally kind of will clash with this, which is Jarex. Like, he has very strong ideas, strong opinions about everything, not a follower by any mean, more of a leader, but then smart enough emotionally or whatever that is to understand that, hey, in that situation I need to take a step back, this is how I need to behave and whatnot. And then you have the people that don't have the right profile and also don't read the room at all, and then they just keep setting everything on fire, and then you have to find the best way to get them to tag along. Or maybe it's just impossible. Maybe as Peter was talking about, like the team dynamic, like the math doesn't add up, and you're stuck with that, and yeah, you just need a change or reassess.
Peter, I remember after you won,
every team is different.
Yep. After you won, you mentioned to me and publicly that you didn't enjoy playing with Aoi. That is like, you needed for next year, it's like, not only I want to win with this specific roster and with this specific thing in mind. Because I think that if you have kept Aoi, you could have, in a way, like paraglide, for the next year with the same kind of roster.
Sure. I think one of my hindsights is, during those years I felt like I was unstoppable, I would say, and that, like, nothing could trip me up. But that's just not the reality of life. Like, there will always be things that will catch you off guard and surprise you, and the choices that you make, like kicking Aoi, for example, and wanting to win with Arteezy, it happens. It's happened to a lot of people.
Will Arteezy ever win a major event?
Not with Evil Geniuses. That's my hot take.
Okay.
I actually agree with that take.
I did not even say that ever. Like, you're going much further than I ever went. I just said, give it some time, guys. Don't get ahead of yourselves. That's all I said in that quote.
He's pretty
Just
good.
leave me alone with that quote.
But
He's pretty good. He's pretty good. Maybe not one of the.
I said he's definitely
he's-
okay or something like that.
I do think that from what I witnessed from you guys, you know, I'm not like really that endemic from the Dota inside, you know, but I've been now already for 3 or 4 years around Dota players, and what I consider, well, you guys are in this call, 3 of the best captains ever in Dota. It's undeniable. And I believe that you guys are very, very different, but your heart is actually very similar. It's just in a way, Ceb and you, Peter, are very, very, very similar. You just have a different user interface, but your heart is the
yeah,
same.
and
You
swindle
guys,
balance as well.
you guys, and I've friend with Kyle's, is that the only difference is that you guys don't allow mediocrity. Mediocrity is not a word in your life. Nobody's allowed to be mediocre ever at any point on nothing. You put a level of expertise and a level of devotion on your own craft that then you require everybody else to take it just as seriously as you guys. This is shit, you know? And I think that, I mean, Ceb,
Yeah, we're basically the Michael Jordans of Dota right here, I would say.
your quote, not mine. But you know what I mean? Like, Peter, you've never been mediocre on anything. You don't like being mediocre ever. So you don't allow mediocrity around you.
I mean, you can be mediocre.
That's why I can't play Valorant. I just
mean,
get destroyed.
You can be mediocre. It can happen, but accepting it, kinda, and going on with it, maybe that's hard to.
Yeah.
That's hard to accept.
That's an old man learning. You become humbled at a certain age. And back to Ceb's point about leadership, and I know we've been talking for a long time, so we have some stuff coming up, so I want to end this eventually. I know we could probably talk for hours about Dota and our experiences. But learning how to, like, first off, leadership is a skill. I do believe that it can be learned. It's just more natural for others, especially like in the younger, like early 20s. You're either a leader or you're not. But as we kind of glow up into our 30s, I think you can learn how to teach others about your experiences. And it's not just your endemic experiences in your field, but also like the management and like interpersonal relationships with coworkers. So learning how to lead and understanding that everybody kind of has to be led in a little bit of a different way is very tricky, but important. And when you have a good team where it all kind of works together, that's where the great results come from.
Are you happy, Peter?
OG
where you are
friendship.
right now? Are you happy, or you look at those past ages thinking that's what your peak?
No, like I said, I think COVID sucks. Like, COVID is really shitty, especially for people that grew up in the events industry. Like, every weekend I was going to a LAN tournament and hanging out with 100 of my peers, right? Not all of my friends, but drama, right? There was, there's jokes, there's fun, there's, animosity, right? It's all excitement. But nowadays, like, I don't know, what are we doing? Just working in my bedroom or in my office.
I think that's why Johan in Portugal has been like the beacon of light, We all hang out there in the
For
house.
sure, man. It seems nice. I'm jealous. We could think about, we need to move to Florida or Miami or something. Winter's been tough. Winter and COVID, bad combination.
Yeah.
Yep.
Tough one.
Yep. That is very tough.
I would say that one of the biggest senses of pride that I feel this year is seeing the new guys, the new roster. It's awesome. It's awesome, really, Peter. It's really cool. And
Not many orgs have been able to survive, a complete roster change. So props to you guys for finding the right guys.
all on Ceb, dude. Ceb found Misha, and Misha's taking us to the promised land. Misha is so fucking...
It's all those pubs, man. He's the scout. He's the talent scout.
I think that was a big sense of pride for us. Ceb, for you and for Johan, I think that, that was like the perfect thing that could happen for us. That we could find another team with passionate people to carry the OG torch.
Yeah, and hopefully talented people too. I mean, not just the passion, but I think a big part of it would be getting the Dota to fruition and getting like the Dota to. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if either of us will sleep well at night, seeing if the. I don't know. I just want to see the wild OG Dota, the good Dota ideas. I want to see the next patch. I want to see the boys adapt. I want to see people talk about how nobody believed in this guy. You know, same thing with Topson, same thing with Anna, same thing with like all the potential that's been through the OG iterations, and I just hope to see it come to life, you know. And with, of course, I mean, it's only going to happen through motivation and being super inspired. And I see the fire in them, you know. So I'm hoping it all will pan out for them.
And we did also the dual leadership. That is Misha and Taiga. So I think Taiga is bringing a huge level of human expertise. He's a very kind and charismatic guy. So Peter, what's next for you, dude? Working with you and eSports engine, do you like what you're doing? Are you passionate, obviously, to go back on LANs when we can go back on LANs? What are you looking for now in your life?
I'm not looking for anything. I just wanted to talk to you guys about Dota because my dream would be to some way kind of loop all of this back in and be able to work with Dota once again. So I'm just kind of surveying the scene, looking, you know, maybe where myself and eSports engine could contribute in a very sensible way. I just want to. That's the only way we really do things. So if it would be like a huge investment of time and money, and I would love to do it, but I just need to think more about how to go about it. So. Yeah, I appreciate you guys' time, and I hope we can talk maybe again another time.
Offline.
Details.
Yeah, I would say that, look, I actually really like what you guys are doing. Sport Engine, for you, Johan and Ceb, but maybe they're not as familiar. They are literally the core fabric of esports in North America. They create these incredible community events, and when you go to these MLGs and this thing, it's more like, it feels like Coachella. You're not really going to see a tournament. You're going there for the whole experience, and it's really great. And just so you know, Peter, I have told many times people in CSGO and in Dota, hey, you gotta do these things with these guys. Dude, it's awesome. Obviously, I could spend hours talking to you. There's so much shit and so much drama and so many stories that you and I have shared. I carry a big part of my time in EG. It's always weird that I joined OG when I was a fanboy of you and EG and Clinton and that roster, you know, growing up. And I think I could have not joined OG if that EG was still there, because it's the one that I grew up watching. I grew up watching you guys playing. And I really think that the OG that I joined it has a lot of things to do with that one, you know, with the family experience and all that, in a completely different age, completely different wave, you know. But I found this other whole group of misfits that somehow got together, and they are awesome together. And, you know, Ceb and Johan, if you got the chance to meet them outside of the game, just as humans, I'm sure you guys will get along. They're awesome.
Maybe N0Tail. I'm not
maybe
sure.
You have a chance,
Ceb,
right? You know.
But...
Did you know that Ceb can dance R&B and he's like a hip hop pro? No joking, dude.
Yeah,
he was the Lebanon champions.
I've seen him at the after parties. I know how he operates. I know his game.
The Lebanon champion.
Okay, how do you guys close these things out? Sorry, I gotta go.
So normally say any final thoughts, Ceb? Oh, good. Well, Peter, thank you so much for your time. You're awesome. We would love to have you back any chance you have. And yeah, dude, thank you so much for your time.
All right, talk later. See you guys.
And now you just leave the call and that's it.
Thank you.
Adios.
Take care, guys.
Adios.
Adios.